Hi, my name is Brett Spivey and I'm one of the staff that works on the NC OneMap project. And in this video today, I'd like to point out some of the recent enhancements and changes that we've made to the NC OneMap websites, along with highlighting a couple of new image services. So let's get started. If you've used NC OneMap before, you may have remembered that to gain access to the imagery that was hosted by NC OneMap, you needed to enter an address of imagery.nconemap.com, but to use any of the map services that contain feature data like parks or streams or roads or pretty much anything not image related, you had to enter a separate address, which was an IP address. And to make things a little more convenient for you and a little more sensible, we've added a new URL, which is services.nconemap.com, and this one URL now contains all of the web services that are hosted by NC OneMap. Now, I didn't say offered by NC OneMap. In case you're not aware, NC OneMap is a collaborative effort put forth by the state of North Carolina. So a lot of data and resources, including services, are provided by partners. And so if you were to go into the geospatial portal and search for data and services, you would get results in that list that are not necessarily hosted by our servers at NC OneMap. So the services that I'm going to show you today are the ones that we do host internally. So on the landing page here, it's pretty simple. We have a frequently asked questions page with answers to some of the most common questions that we've encountered about web services, and we will certainly be adding to that list as time goes on. And over here on the right, we have a description about web services and a link to the geospatial portal if you're ready to go ahead and dive in and search for data. But we also offer a link there that provides a listing of all the web services that NC OneMap currently hosts. Here in the root folder, you can see we have about 20 or 25 services, and these range from anything from census boundaries to geodetic control points to water bodies and water streams. And I would invite you to visit this page. You can click on any of the services here and get a description about it and what data layers are contained in it, and just some common information about that. However, I would like to point your focus on to the imagery folder here, and if I click that link, we get a listing of all the imagery that is available through NC OneMap right now. And as you can tell, we see from the list that we have data that goes all the way back to 1995, and certainly none of these years prior to 2010 were comprehensive. We collected this imagery from local governments as they would do flights in an autonomous fashion. However, starting with 2010, as many of you know, the statewide orthoimagery program was begun, and the entire state was flown at a pixel resolution of 6 inches. So 2010, if you want to think of that as a baseline, is the first data set for imagery that is statewide. That program has continued on. There was a flight that was completed in 2012, and we've recently released that information on the site here, and I know there are a lot of people that have been anxious to get their hands on that. We've now released that, and the plan going forward is that a quarter of the state will be flown each year. So the coastal counties were flown in 2012. That will happen again in 2016. There are three other services down here at the bottom that I'd like to highlight. One is called OrthoImagery All, and this contains every raster data set that we have in our collection. So all the imagery that's shown in the years from 1995 through 2012 is contained in this OrthoImagery All service. And where you might want to use that is if your client software can do time-enabled loops or do some type of time series analysis where you're looking at a project area and you have the ability to actually scroll through the years and see how the imagery or the features on the ground have changed through time. The last two I want to point out are very similar but not identical, OrthoImagery Latest, and this is where we have taken the most recent imagery that we have meaning the 2012 and 2010 imagery, and created one image service from that so that the most recent data is on top or is visible. So for instance, in the eastern part of the state where the 2012 project was just completed, you will see 2012 data. However, when you pan or move to the west, you'll see the 2010 data. If your project happens to encompass an area that is only partially covered by the 2012 data, this service addresses that need by continuing to provide a seamless display of imagery. So as this goes on, we will continue to update this with the most recent imagery we have. So when the 2013 imagery comes online, we'll be adding to this service. So if you want to connect to a service and see the latest imagery that is available for a particular year, this is the one you would like to use. Ortho Imagery Latest Cached represents the same data. However, unlike the Ortho Imagery Latest image service that can reproject and serve the data out in any projection that you need, and offers up some additional capabilities, the Ortho Imagery Latest Cache service is, as its name suggests, a cached service. It's served in the Web Mercator projection, and it follows the same scale thresholds as Google Maps and Bing Maps and other tiled services. So if you would like to use this for the utmost in performance and can make use of the Web Mercator projection, then this is the one you would like to use. However, if your project is in state plane feet or meters, that sort of thing, then you want to use the Ortho Imagery Latest service. So that's it for services. We're really excited about that. I'd like to turn your attention over to some changes and enhancements we've made to the Geospatial portal. As many of you know, we have received a lot of feedback, constructive criticism, and suggestions to help make this a more effective tool for you to search for and access data and services that we have. One of those changes was that it was very difficult. Users expressed a frustration in not being able to easily see what had recently been added or updated to NC OneMap. Many data sets that we have are routinely updated, and they said it would be very nice if we could just know what had been recently changed or added, and we've addressed that on the home page here with the most recent items section. So as time goes forward, this list will change as data sets and resources are added or updated. And in case you don't want to have to come to the website to see what that list is, you can subscribe to either an RSS or Atom feed and have that pushed to you. A couple of other minor things we've done on the search page is that we've added a keyword search to give you feedback. So in the past, you would enter a keyword here and hit search and get the results, and that would be it. Here, if I start typing in, I'm going to type in Ortho Imagery. I get the list here. Keyword hint is enabled, so I'm going to go back. I'm going to type another word. I'm going to type water, and notice how I get a list of matching keywords from the repository. So it allows you to narrow your search a little bit more. But I'm going to go back to Ortho Imagery. I have to spell it right. And notice here now we have an icon in our results list that wasn't there before, this bar graph. And notice that some of them are 3 bars, 1 bar, etc. This is to provide you a graphical feedback on the reliability of the service, and if you mouse over the service, it will tell you how reliable that is. So it's something to keep in mind when you might be determining if this is a data set or a service that you wish to use in your project. And by clicking on that icon, it will actually take you to a dedicated statistical checker for that service, and we've partnered with the FGDC for this. And you can do all kinds of different requests and tests and look at metrics on the service. So it's just an evaluation tool on how reliable and how appropriate it is for you to use that resource in your project. Yet another suggestion we've received is some people expressed a desire to continue to simply have an alphabetical listing of resources that searching for data, although while it may be effective in certain cases, there are times when people would just like to see an A to Z list. And while we don't have a comprehensive A to Z list all on one page, we do have something that's very similar, and we hope it addresses that concern. And that is, we've added a new search method on the browse page, and that's titled alphabetical. So by expanding that, you see we have a range of letters, and simply by clicking on the appropriate item, you do receive an alphabetical listing of resources from within that range. So while we're excited about this, and we hope this will be very effective for you, no doubt the largest and most exciting change that we have is on the download imagery page. And before I start talking about this, I would like to say that from our perspective, we would like to highly encourage you to use the services whenever possible. They offer a lot of advantages in terms of not having to keep up to date with the data, and there are videos on our geospatial homepage, data.nc1map.com. I'll go back there real quick. That show you how, using various client software, you can connect directly to our services or directly to our server, so that every time, in the case of using ArcGIS Desktop, you'll have instant access to every service that we offer. So I'd invite you to take a look at those videos on how to do that. But back to the download imagery page. So obviously there are business or project requirements that would require you to have the data in hand, and for those times we've offered this page. For users that have used this in the past, you remember that only the 2010 imagery was available, which was the most recent at that time, but that's no longer the case with 2012 coming online. One suggestion that, or a couple of pieces of information or frustrations that we've gotten back is that the download area was too small. Another one was that you could only find out that your area of interest that you had selected was too large only after you had made your selection, and you would have to begin the whole process again. So as I demo this, I think it'll be evident that we have addressed both those concerns. So to get started, I'm going to make sure that I've selected my navigation tool, or my pan zoom tool, and I'm going to zoom into a hypothetical project area. So I can use my zoom in and zoom out buttons here, or I can hold down the shift key and drag a box with my mouse. So now I'm in a little bit tighter where I can gain perspective of, does this encompass my project area or not, and let's say that it does. So now I want to actually go get some tiles or see what imagery is available for this area. So I'm going to click the Draw Polygon button, drag my box, and notice that once it passes a certain size, the box turns red. This is an instant feedback to you, the user, that the area you are selecting is too large. Now, I went back just to go back on one of the complaints that we received, that the area was too small. We've actually doubled the area that is available on each download. So we've helped to address that a little bit. But I made an area here, selected that, and a query is going to go out and see what imagery is available for this area. And as you can see, that actually there are 5 different years that are available, and they may or may not include the entire project area. So if I were to mouse over each year, as you can see as it highlights, I'm able to see the coverage area for the imagery representing that year. So as you can see, there is a little bit of area in the extreme north of my selected area of interest that is not covered. So that allows you to quickly evaluate whether it's worth even downloading this year or not. Another capability that we've added is the ability to preview the imagery prior to going through the process of downloading. So I can cycle through these years and evaluate whether the imagery is going to satisfy my needs or not. To complete the process and actually get the data, I just put check boxes next to the years that I would like and enter a valid email address and click download. Shortly thereafter, the server will prepare all the files, and you'll receive an email containing hyperlinks to zip files that contain all of your selected rasters for each respective year. So we're really excited about this release. Again, it's based directly on response and feedback from you, the user. We hope you find that this does make NC OneMap easier and more effective for you to use as a data discovery and implementation tool. And please check back with us, as we'll be adding to the frequently asked questions page and possibly adding additional videos.